Mickey, what I know you mostly for is your consulting and certified executive leadership coaching that you continue to do. So
Yes.
Mickey, let's talk a little bit about how you use your personality to kind of just work through what other people's yeah buts come at you with all the time in education.
Well, education, I have said in describing myself upon occasion, is my family business. My parents were both educators, and both my sisters became teachers and were therefore educators as well. And I see some of that carrying forward to the next generation. So, education, I like to say, is our family business. And that's appropriate, I think, because I see the difference that good education has made in the lives of my family members. And I know that for people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds, who are seeking to make a better life for themselves or their families, how they can do that in a way that serves others. And so I want to help the students and families of students who are seeking a better way for themselves. And so that has been the overall approach of my higher education career. If I'm serving as president or vice president, then I'm leading a way that makes the institution in which we're serving better and more effective, that it reaches out to more people, that it extends opportunities to them, and that the culture, the processes, et cetera, are all geared towards helping people to succeed, to achieve their objectives, to earn the education, the degree, the certifications they're seeking, and then to go on to have good economic and personal results as a result of the educational experience.
So let's talk about some yeah buts. I think one of the ones you mentioned, I don't know where to start. Mickey, tell us a little bit more about how that was a yeah but for you and how you worked through that.
Well, that pertains to my writing a book. And as I neared the end of my career, I noticed, and I started telling people I'm going to retire soon, or after I had announced the retirement date, people said, "Well, you should write a book." I had two or three people, different institutions, to say that to me. And on top of that, I thought back over my career and saw that I had really been blessed to have had a chance to lead two different universities for 11 years as the president or the chancellor, the CEO titles. And so I wanted to be in a position to share at least my approach with others and let people kind of take from that what they could, and that might actually lead to their having greater success. My writing at that point had been some academic writing for journals, um, writing for writing speeches as president, serving as president and chancellor. I had to give a lot of speeches. Those kinds of things didn't serve, it seemed to me, as good background or experience for writing. So I was just not quite sure how to go about it.
So you had an opportunity. People told you should do it. You didn't really have all the experience of writing a book. So how did you overcome this yeah but?
My tendency is to not procrastinate. And so I started writing, sharing them with people. Turns out they weren't very good. They did not excite anyone. And in fact, I kind of found the approach a little boring myself. So I said, well, that approach does not work. One thing that happened is that my wife said to me one day, I was looking in this catalog of courses for senior citizens,
Mm.
people 55 and over, offered by the community college in our county. And one of the titles is creative writing. And looking for things to do, I decided to sign up for the class. And lo and behold, as I learned what memoir writing was, I thought that's exactly what I have in mind.
Mhm.
And that's the approach that would make a real difference. And so that helped me get over the initial, yeah, but how do I start?
What happens, like one of your yeah buts is what's the plan? So tell me more about that.
Well, even after I came to realize that I wanted to write a memoir, then a whole set of new questions arose. Um, how do you go about writing the memoir? I mean, exactly what is a memoir? I know that It's one's personal story or some aspect of one's personal story, but how do you decide which experiences to include
Mhm.
in the book? Um, how do you know what would interest folks? Uh, do you start with the key leadership points that you want to emphasize and then tell stories around those points, or do you start with a comprehensive list of the attributes and characteristics of successful leaders from your experience and then sort of share that? All of these were questions that came into my mind, and that it was just not immediately obvious how to proceed. And in fact, once you actually start the writing, how do you ensure that you're getting feedback,
Mhm.
honest, candid, helpful feedback on what you're writing? And then once you get it published, what process do you follow in going through with the distribution?
Mhm.
I decided to take advantage of the class that I had signed up for because that class had several other students like myself who were learning to do memoir writing. And the once a week class afforded us the opportunity to write something, then to get feedback, but it was feedback that was positive in nature, and that it was encouraging. And so I decided I'll take that process afforded by the class and use that to write sections of the book. And so that way I shaped the plan, but continued to reshape it as
Mhm.
I learned more about memoir writing, as I got feedback from those who were reading drafts of the little pieces that I was writing for the class.
Hey there, it's time for a quick break. While we're diving into how to live, learn, and lead better, I wanted to let you in on something I'm really excited about. If you've ever found yourself stuck in the yeah, but cycle, those moments where excuses get in your way of your potential, my new book, Yeah, But Cut Through the Noise to Live, Learn, and Lead Better, is for you. The book is packed with practical strategies, real stories, and actionable advice to help you stop making excuses and start making progress. Whether you're a leader, a learner, or just someone looking to cut through the noise, Yeah But has something for you. And here's the best part. For a limited time, you can grab a chapter for free. Just head over to my website at www.markawolf.com/book to get started. Readers have already said that the perspective and stories guided them to get unstuck and move forward. All right, let's get back to the show and dive into more ways to break through those yeah but moments. It's interesting, Mickey, that you didn't have the full plan when you first started from
No,
beginning to end, right? It's an evolution of over time. And what I'm
right.
also hearing you say is that you had some structure because there was some community, there was some accountability, there was some repetition, right?
Yes,
There was a habit built, right? So there's so much more that comes out, but if you would have done it on your own in the beginning, you still would have potentially needed these things, but they happen to come together at an opportunity when you went to a class locally and when you did go and meet other people. I think too many people miss in their yeah buts, like they have to see the whole plan before they even start. And it sounds like, which happens with many people, the plan evolves, adjusts, and gets refined over time because even the perfect plan is not the perfect plan. It's always going to
sure,
get changed.
absolutely.
Your other yeah, but was yeah, but somebody already did it. So what when you say those words about somebody already did it, tell me about what you originally thought that was a holdback or like a why me or why does this matter and how you work through that.
Well, as I learned about memoir writing, I learned that I bought some books. So in addition to participating in that class, I also built a small little library of
Mhm.
on memoir writing and read what others had said about it and read a few memoirs. And I came to understand that a memoir really has a theme, and that theme is pursued through the life experiences of the writer. What I wanted to do was to share a portion of my life, but to focus on leadership, the leadership aspect of my life, because that's what I had had in higher education. And that's where I thought the lessons learned would be beneficial to others. And so, as I started to think about that, I thought, gosh, leadership, there are hundreds, thousands of books written on leadership, and probably hundreds written every year. And so the world does not need another leadership book. Certainly not one that just talks about the principles or guidelines for good leadership, etc., because there are plenty of those out there. I used a lot of them as I was developing my own approach and dealing with my leadership opportunities. But what I could do, and what the memoir approach afforded me, was a chance to tell my story and to emphasize some of those leadership points or experiences. And that would make it unique. And if I could write it in such a way that it was interesting, it held people's interest as they read through it, then I could share some of those experiences in the context of what I believe are the most important principles of leadership, and therefore perhaps have it be instructive, um, maybe inspiring.
But your unique perspective on things is really the critical thing, because some people can talk from an academic standpoint and still not have what you went through, why it was important to you, and how people can apply that. That's the beauty
Right.
of our individuality and how we
Hmm.
can use our story to help people that we wouldn't think we could. I'm sure you've already gotten stories back from people who have read your book,
You're
and
right. Yes, I have.
right, because they were just like, and they're not just platitudes. People literally are like, I never knew this. Thank you for your sharing your perspective. Wow, I see there's hope, because it's nothing's new under the sun, right? Like,
Yes, yes.
so it's so what's your advice to tell other people that are paralyzed by fear when that yeah but comes up, that it's been done before?
Well, first thing, when one is dealing with fear, usually that fear is not nearly as challenging an issue as we think.
Mm-hmm.
And so the most important step is to move beyond it, is to attack it, to approach, to go forward with what it is that you're determined to do. In the case of the believer, in the case of one who perhaps may not have that kind of faith, it's still important to take a step, to get off the dime and to initiate something. Because even if you start out and you discover that you've taken the wrong approach or an approach that's not going to work, then you can always make a pivot and start again.
Mm-hmm.
Many successful people have failed many times before they succeeded. And so the biggest problem is not doing anything.
Thank you for listening to the Yeah But podcast. If today's episode provided valuable perspective on how to overcome the excuses that can hold you back, let us know in the comments. Remember, it's not about the yeah buts. It's about finding ways to live, learn, and lead better every day. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little kick to get past their yeah buts. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And for even more tips, connect with me at markawolf.com/podcast or on LinkedIn. Until next time, keep challenging those excuses and keep moving forward.